Hi everyone, welcome back to ZenZ, a platform where we delve into the issues of mental health. I'm Arya Verma and I will be your companion on this journey. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, Mrs. Chandana Singh, founder of Advocacy for Dyslexia. With nearly 2 decades of experience working with dyslexia, Ms. Chandana is a dedicated advocate for neurodiverse individuals. She's also a qualified lawyer, certified special educator, and founder of the Office of Learning Support at Ashoka University. Mrs. Chandana combines her legal expertise and passion for inclusion to raise awareness and support for special learning needs. Welcome to ZenZ.
Thank you so much, Arya. It's just wonderful to be here and to be a part of your show.
Pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming. We say that 20% of the population is neurodiverse. Can you help us understand what exactly is neurodivergence?
Yeah, so according to many reports and research which is done, 20% of the population is neurodivergent, which means that 1 out of 5 individuals or human beings are neurodiverse. So neurodiversity is a concept which basically says that there is everybody's way of behaving, thinking, understanding is different. Like no 2 individuals are the same. Every person thinks, believes, acts, looks, understands, does everything differently. So honestly, the concept says that in reality, we are all neurodiverse because everyone is different from the other. If you see, even with twins, they are considered twins, but they are actually not identical. There are always things which are different between them. So this is a manner in which neurodiversity is now explained vis-a-vis the concept of being neurotypical.
Oh, that's so interesting. Can you tell me more about what neurodiversity covers?
Yeah, so neurodiversity actually is an umbrella term which is used for many conditions, but it is mostly used to refer to learning disabilities, SLDs, that is specific learning disabilities, ADHD, that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
That's so informative. You mentioned learning difficulties as a part of neurodiversity. Can you tell us more about them? What exactly are learning difficulties and how can they be identified?
Okay, so your question actually has 2 parts, so I'm going to do them separately. Learning difficulties is actually a set of conditions which impact your ability to learn in a certain way. It covers amongst others, but the primary 3 that we see a lot of, there is dyslexia, which is a reading difficulty, dyscalculia, which is a difficulty with math, dysgraphia, which is a writing difficulty, and then there are certain other learning difficulty conditions as well. So what happens is that when these conditions are identified in an individual and in a student, they actually, as you can understand, because it's reading, writing and math, it impacts your journey as a student. So it's not that you can't learn, but it is that your understanding and your learning is slightly different from the way maybe a neurotypical student would learn. So you may require slightly modified techniques for learning the same curriculum which another student is learning in the typical way. So the difficulties manifest in various ways. We can come to that later. But coming to the second part of your question, which is that how do we identify them? So identification of learning difficulties is actually like the process can happen very quickly or it can happen over time. And I have seen some cases where learning difficulties have been identified even as late as grade 11 and 12. But in that case, of course, the learning journey has been very hard and the student has really not been able to get the concessions. So primarily, there are 2 important parameters in identification of a learning difficulty, the parent and the school. I mean, the child at this point is generally very young and, is kind of just struggling with academics. There are a few things which happen. One, the child struggles either with reading and is not reading age appropriate, which is to say is not reading as well as the peers are reading. With math, there is a difficulty learning tables, there is a difficulty, doing simple math sums. Similarly, writing is difficult. So the entire experience of schooling becomes hard. The child is basically very bright and intelligent, but the academic work is not reflecting that. So that is when a learning difficulty is, thought to happen. Sometimes the school brings it up and says that, oh, the child is very distracted and, he or she is not able to copy from the blackboard, hesitates to read loud. So, cannot form letters properly in writing. So those are the initial ways in which, a check for a learning difficulty is advised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, when I was a child, I actually used to struggle a lot memorizing and learning my tables. So then my parents figured out that I might have a learning disability and I got tested for dyscalculia.
Correct. Okay.
So that's how we came to know. So the table thing was really interesting.
So that's actually, that's wonderful that your parents were, kind of alert and aware and did the testing in good time. So, if you find that you're very good at you're able to read or able to do everything else, and it's just maybe a certain part of math or tables which you're really struggling with, then that again can, give an indicator that, can they be dyscalculia? So in that case, maybe the school brought it up or your parents. And I think tested early was advantageous because it was something which you knew. Then I'm sure you must have got concessions and some support and
yes,
different remediation techniques are there to make sure that you're able to cope with the subject and you don't really lag behind.
Okay.
And you're able to do math, you don't need to drop it, but you're able to do it with the support which this can provide you.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your input. My research tells me that learning difficulties are lifelong conditions. They don't go away, but can be managed. Can you tell us your views on this, especially their impact on teenagers?
I'm so glad you've asked this question because many times I hear that, oh, I had a learning difficulty and, now I'm okay, now I'm cured. So, those are just myths which we really need to shatter. You may find ways to cope with learning difficulties, which one does as you grow older. You're able to use technology, which can be, typing, calculators, and you find other ways of coping. Of course, we have spell checks everywhere. So, as you grow older into adult life, you find ways to cope with them, but they actually never go away. A learning difficulty happens because of a certain way in which your brain is wired, your brain works, which is slightly different from the way in which another person's brain works. So those conditions stay with you. What you need to do is you need to navigate and manage them so that they don't interfere with the choice of your career. And you're able to complete your schooling and you're able to get into any career of your choice that you want to do. The second part of your question, of course, the impact in your teenage years is the maximum because sometimes when you're younger, you may, you just cope with the curriculum. In the teenage years is when your schooling pressure is very high. You have many subjects, you have languages, you also have other activities which you want to do.
Yes.
And with that, you have peer pressure which sets in because you want to be with your friends, you want to be cool. And that is the time when if you have a learning difficulty, navigating and managing it just becomes tough. It's very high pressure. Those are actually the most difficult years. I think from about 10, 11 till say 17, 18, till you get into college is the toughest part of your education journey. And if you have a learning difficulty, that is hard for you. So you really need a lot of support. You need a lot of, various accommodations, remedial, many ways and many techniques with which you can tide over that.
Okay.
So the impact on teenagers is a lot.
So what you're basically saying is that they never actually go away.
Yes.
Right.
They don't go away. If you have, I know somebody who was dyslexic and is actually my age. So when they were younger, there was not so much awareness about dyslexia, and she was not able to spell. And till today, she can't spell. And when I say can't spell, it means, even there and there, which there are we using,
Right.
simple words. Spellings are hard. But what happens is when you're in school, you're facing a spelling test, right? And then when you get a 3 on 10, it's very difficult. When the
very
whole
difficult
class
to
has
take,
got 10 on
yes.
10. But when you reach like our age and you're typing messages on the phone or on a computer and you have spell check everywhere,
much easier,
then it
right.
doesn't matter, right?
Right.
So the condition is still there, but it's just that it impacted you way more when you were younger, and it's not going to impact you so much.
Right. So what I've understood from this conversation is that it is really difficult to cope with this as a teenager, but there are ways to manage this and there are ways to navigate through this. And even though these disorders do not go away per se, they still do not impact what you want to do in life, and you can follow any career path you want to.
Yes, absolutely.
What support do parents and academic institutions need to provide to those teenagers who are diagnosed with a learning difficulty?
Yeah, so parents and schools both really need to be very supportive. So before I answer that question, you spoke about, having dyscalculia yourself and coping with it. So I want to ask you that what role did your parents play? How did they support you?
So for me, my greatest assets are my parents. They helped me the entire time. From the beginning, it was really difficult for me to accept that I had dyscalculia, but I've accepted it now, and they helped me come to the realization that I'm not different and it's not something bad necessarily. It's just that I'm a little bit different, and it takes me a little bit longer to understand maths and cope with the curriculum.
Correct.
But I am working maybe double as hard as my peers for maths, and I'm trying to cope with it, and I'm doing a sheet, for example, every day,
Right.
and just getting on track with my maths. And I'm so grateful for my parents for their support. So yeah.
So you've actually given the answer to this question yourself, because there are two pillars of support for anybody with a learning difficulty: the parent and the school. A school will include your teachers and faculty, and both these have to work together in tandem to be able to support a student, to successfully navigate this learning journey. For the parent, I have this acronym which I used. It's called ACT, and you've actually spoken about all those things. A is acceptance. Accept that your child is a different learner, and there is nothing more to it. He or she is just going to learn differently, which is what you said. It took time to accept, but it happened. C is confidence. A learning difficulty is just a different way of learning, right? There are ways in which you can navigate it. There is no reason for your confidence to be impacted. So the parent should try and ensure that the student continues to be confident, go to school confidently. It's hard, but it can happen, which I see with you. You're sitting here confidently with me. And T is basically training. Train yourself to navigate through the learning difficulty so that you can cope with what is required, which is what you said you did, that you did extra papers or you spend more time doing math. So this is exactly the role of a parent. As far as school goes, I think schools also really need to be supportive. They need to provide the accommodations which a student needs. Then there is remediation which can be done. Remediation can be done either in school or outside school. Remediation will be different depending on which stage of learning you're at. So those are some of the things which the school can do, and the parent and the school need to be, in touch. You need to exchange, notes on how things are progressing so that the student, continues to study and learn and not fall back in this journey.
Okay. ACT. I love that.
Yeah, that's something I thought of. So
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I love that.
thank you. Yeah, everyone needs to act, actually, not just
Everyone
parents.
needs to act,
Everyone
yeah.
act. Yeah.
ACT. Does a learning difficulty play a role in social adjustment for teenagers? How so?
Yeah, that's another brilliant question. So Actually, a learning difficulty is only connected to your learning. It is you and the learning that you do and how you want to learn in a different way. So the learning should be geared up for that. So why is it then that even, social aspect, social adjustment starts playing a role in this? And that is actually the sad part. Because the moment you have a learning difficulty and you are learning, slightly differently from how your peers are learning, when you're asked to get up and do loud reading, you're not comfortable doing that. Sometimes you don't score as well as your peers. Your marks are low. Your grades are not good. You get pulled up in class by teachers who don't understand your requirement. So all this then translates into how you are socially perceived by your friends, right? So making friends becomes difficult. I have had a lot of students who I've worked with personally who I have seen have found it very hard to make friends in school. Students have made fun of them. They find it difficult, especially in the teenage years, which is, what you're focusing on, when peer groups are so important. The most important thing for you at that time is your friends and what they think of you and how you interact with them. So for a child who's not able to fit in then into a circle of friends and, be like this confident individual in school, it's very, very hard.
Right.
So yes, learning difficulties do have a social impact. Settling into the school system, making friends, settling into peer groups at home, all that does become very hard. And very often what happens with that is that it starts impacting the confidence of the child. In certain extreme situations, I have seen students who don't want to go to school because the next day of school, just looms like a disaster in their mind, that I'm going to go there, my friends are going to make fun of me. I'm not going to understand what's written on the blackboard. When the teacher is, on sum number 20, I will still be trying to solve sum number 5. So there are so many things which go through your mind that very often you're just dreading the next day of school. And that does impact your confidence and causes you a lot of anxiety. So yes, that does happen. That is the reality, sadly so, but it is a reality, and we see so many students who face that.
I actually have a friend who used to do a group maths tuition, and she used to tell me, oh, I hate this tuition so much because the teacher would always call on you and tell you, oh, do this, do that. And
Correct.
I completely understand where she's coming from. So this just sheds some light upon that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And also, in the situation where you said, if a parent or somebody had gone and sensitized that teacher,
right,
that, this is the situation. So rather than calling that student out, change that into supporting the student in a silent way, in a nice way. So that can just make all the difference. But then either the teacher has to know that or somebody has to, sensitize.
So communication
is important
essentially,
also.
right?
Yes.
What strategies would you recommend for building resilience and coping with the emotional challenges of a learning disability?
Wow, that's a really tough question. And I think everyone is kind of struggling with an answer to that question. If I had a clear answer to that question, that it would have been just probably the best thing. It's tough because emotional challenges and, this thing of feeling that you're slightly different in, how you learn and how you understand. And what we spoke about earlier regarding the whole, peer pressure and not wanting people to know that you have a learning difficulty. Wanting to fit in. So the best way to cope with those emotional challenges is that in some sense you have to kind of build in your own strength. When you're younger, I guess parental support is important. As you grow older, supportive friends who understand you rather than, mock at you. And you can find those. I know many students who did, got this support and like a group of kids who really understood you and, stood by you in school. 2 supportive teachers who are nice to you rather than, pulling you out.
Right.
So when I think everyone sort of works together, that is how emotional strength can be built up. The role of parents and family, I think, is very important because, a lot of expectations do stem from home. So if your parents are understanding you and, generally more supportive, I think that can give you that strength. And in some situations, if there is a lot of anxiety associated with your learning and you're finding it very hard to cope, then maybe even reaching out to a counselor and getting some help. But what I want to add to that is that there is light at the end of the tunnel, because everybody goes through this struggle while you're learning, but things eventually do settle down, they do get better. I've had students who are now doing an MBA, students who are in IIT, students who are doing medicine, and many who are following creative professions. So, you need to believe in yourself. You need to think that I'm going to overcome this learning challenge. I mean, it's really nothing. It's just that I need to learn in a different way and, accept that and continue studying and making the most of it.
You mentioned counselors. How exactly could counselors help in this situation?
Yeah, so the counselor is not going to be able to assist you, really in your learning difficulty, because that is more an academic challenge. But I said, if there is a situation where there is anxiety and, you find that you have so much anxiety that it is impacting your day-to-day working, or you don't want to go to school, then I think general counseling support, as with everything, it may help you tide over that.
Right.
But I am, personally not qualified to really speak on that. But I know students who have benefited from, some kind of counseling support.
Right. Just somebody to talk to.
Because, you need to keep up your confidence. You need to feel good about yourself.
Right.
And I think many factors work towards, making that happen.
Wow, that's so inspiring. People are still embarrassed talking about learning difficulties. How do we make it less of a taboo?
So I think that's why we are here, right? And you yourself are doing an absolutely amazing job.
Thank you so much.
Because we are sitting here, and having a discussion on this topic. That's really what we need. So I think that is the first step.
Thank you so much.
And yes, it's sad. The reason why people don't want to talk about having a learning difficulty is because of the whole stigma which is associated with it, right? It's just so stigmatized. Being different. I mean, we started this our discussion by saying that, we are all neurodiverse. So actually, every individual is different from the other. You and I are different. Everybody we know is different. So if all of us are different, then what is the big deal in being different? If you just have a different way of learning, why should that be a stigma?
That's a lovely line.
But unfortunately, thanks. Unfortunately, we live in a society where, there is so much judgment, and just being typical and, conforming to things is considered to be the right way. So that is why there is stigma. I mean, if I'm following Chennai Super Kings, there is no stigma attached, right? I can say I'm a CSK fan, or I can say that, I follow this football club, or I live here. Why is that? Because there is no stigma associated with that. But I don't want to say that I'm dyslexic, because there is a stigma with that. There shouldn't be any stigma.
Agreed.
I mean, when I when I'm speaking at various places where I try to take this message that there shouldn't be any stigma. There are so many famous personalities, if we try and look for those who have achieved so much while being dyslexic. And I want to add here that very recently, now we look upon being dyslexic actually as an advantage, because what dyslexics bring to a pool, your creativity, your different way of thinking and handling a situation, you actually enhance any pool that you're a part of. So in the work environment, and when you actually reach there, being dyslexic is an advantage. There is an advantage with dyslexia. I have worked with children, they just think so differently. They think so out of the box that it's actually really amazing. I mean, that's a skill. If everybody thought in the same way, we would have no innovation, no change.
Agreed, right.
And I mean, I don't think we have that much time, but some of our biggest innovators and, scientists were all being dyslexic. So I think we need to remove the stigma. We need to look at the positivity of, learning differently.
And being different.
And all the advantages that, it brings to the table.
That's a lovely message.
Yeah, so that's the message, and I think that is, if we all work towards it, this
We can
takes a
definitely
message,
achieve
we
it,
can
yes.
achieve it. So that's what we want. We want everybody, we want to spread this message, and that's what you're doing here.
Yes.
That, it's fine. Just remove the stigma with dyslexia and with so many other things with which that stigma is associated.
Thank you so much. This has been such an informative and educative conversation, and I'm sure our viewers have gained a lot from this. Thank you.
I'm so glad I could be a part of this and be a part of your show. Thank you for having me.
Make sure to tune in for more episodes of ZenZ on YouTube, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram.